The midterm elections are tight, tight, tight. As we sit here on Thursday with the election on Tuesday, it's premature to call any conclusion as to control of either house. Americans are capable of having one main subject in their mind at any given time. The point is, though, it changes over 24 or 48 hours. And the focus on the Kavanaugh hearings and the Democratic conduct during it has largely eroded. And now the focus is on the violence of the last week, the mailings of bombs to prominent Democrats and the horrible, horrible killings in Pittsburgh. And those have at least changed the subject and in many cases impelled a move toward the Democrats. And the result has been basically a closure of all of these races. So here's the rundown as I see it right now. In the House, it is crazy to make a prediction. It might even be several days or weeks or even months before we know who controls the House. There will be so many races that are going to have recounts and going to be litigated and going to spend some time trying to determine who won those races. There are currently 18 House races out of 435 that are within 2 points or less. Unbelievable. 2 of them are right now tied in the polls. 9 of them are within 1 point one way or the other, and 7 are 2 points one way or the other. And that's within the margin of error of the polling. So you really have no idea who's ahead in those races. The Democrats are slightly ahead in the number of seats that are more or less decided. 5 ahead, or according to one tally, or 9 ahead according to another. But there's so many seats out there that it could go either way in a relatively lopsided direction. Or it could be the razor's edge closeness that we're looking at now. And the Senate races have tightened too. We're not going to have a 54 or 55 seat majority. We probably will have a majority, but it might be less. And it is possible that we could lose the majority or have a 50-50 Senate where Pence would break the tie for Republican control. We're looking very good for a pickup in North Dakota. And Arizona and Nevada, both Republican seats, are now in question. They used to be clearly Republican, but now they're in question. And Missouri is looking like a possible pickup, but not necessarily a done deal. If that were to happen, and we were to pick up seats in North Dakota and Missouri, and possibly lose them in Nevada and Arizona, you'd still have the 51-49 Senate that we have now. And there are 3 seats which are possible Republican pickups that may be just out of reach or at the borderline of reach. We could win them, but we more likely will lose them. Montana, Indiana, and Florida. Indiana having shifted in the last few days. And Florida, the Republicans insist that their polls have them ahead, but the last 3 published polls have the Democrats ahead. Montana has been stubbornly a 2 or 3 point Democratic lead. Trump's going out there, and we don't know what the outcome is. So, I'm sorry, it's just impossible to tell at this point. Turnout will obviously be the key variable. Now, in off-year elections, Democratic turnout is always lower because a large portion of it is dependent on minority voters who tend not to vote unless one of their own is on the ballot. So Black and Latino turnout in most districts will be lower than it is during a presidential year, particularly a presidential year when Obama is on the ballot. And on the other hand, there's real enthusiasm at the left, a crazy enthusiasm. But conservatives are really energized. The Kavanaugh hearings have really done their work, and people understand what a crazy band of leftists, almost revolutionaries, the Democratic Party has become. And they're energized. We're energized by the thought of Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. You bet we're energized. So this is a collision between 2 fierce forces, both mobilized, both intent on victory, immovable objects hitting undeniable forces. And God knows what the outcome is. I'm sorry not to be more definite, but that's the way it is. Well, we're all focused on the midterm election results. There is a caravan of immigrants streaming toward the United States. They probably won't get here by Election Day, but they probably will shortly thereafter. And this is a caravan that has been incentivized by the treatment previous caravans have had, which is that they've largely been dispersed throughout the United States and continue to live here happily in the expectation of citizenship. And with that amnesty de facto, these caravans are forming and streaming to the United States. Well, folks, we have 7 billion people in the world, many of whom would like to be in America. And if we let too many of them in, we'll sink the ship, even as they want to join it. So it is very important that we keep that caravan out. There's already one forming behind it. What we need is the troops that Trump is sending to the border to stand decisively at the border and stop people from coming in. If they do enter, they should be apprehended and put in tents while we're adjudicating the case. Keeping families together, but holding them together, not releasing them together. So please sign the petition that's appended to this so that we can really make our opinions felt. Thanks for watching.